We're live now.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to today's hearing for David Lloyd Sport and Leisure Centre. Today is Wednesday, the 6th of August 2025. My name is Councillor Kim Nagpal and I shall be chairing the meeting today. My colleagues, Councillor Julian Gallant and Councillor Tariq Mahmood, and I comprise of today's subcommittee. Just to note that there has been a last-minute change of councillor on this subcommittee. We were previously expecting Councillor John Ball, who was unable to make it. He has been replaced by Councillor Julian Gallant. Uyume Davies is the legal advisor to the subcommittee. Isabel Robb is the Democratic Services Officer, who is the clerk to the subcommittee and who will be minuting the meeting today. You will have all received or seen the agenda pack, within which is contained the licensing officer's report and details of the application in section 1. To confirm, we are dealing with the premises license application in relation to David Lloyd Sport and Leisure, David Lloyd Leisure Centre, Greenford Road, Greenford, UB6 0UX. We note the following representations objecting to the application have been received, which is one representation from a local resident. The subcommittee have read the objectors' submissions in the agenda and will take them into consideration when making their decision. In accordance with procedure, I shall invite the applicant to present the application, answer any questions, and call any witnesses. And normally I would invite the objector here to make their representations, but as she's decided not to join, we will skip that part. At the conclusion of the hearing, the subcommittee, accompanied by the legal advisor and the committee Democratic Services Officer, will retire to consider its decision. The decision will be given at the end of the meeting and confirmed in writing forthwith. If the panel cannot reach a decision today, you will be notified in writing within 5 working days of the panel's decision. Before we begin, can I ask Mr. Welch and Mr. Brunette to introduce themselves and confirm in what capacity they are attending the hearing today?
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Councillors. My name is Christopher Greenert. I'm a solicitor representing David Lloyd Leisure from John Gordon Partners.
Good afternoon. I am Joe Welch, the General Manager of the David Lloyd Sudbury Hill in question.
Thank you. Can you confirm who will be presenting the application today?
I will be, Chair.
Great. OK, go ahead. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Councillors. So, minded that of the Chair's comments that you've read the application, just to summarise it, this is an application to vary the layout or approved layout plans for the premises. There is no application before you to vary either the hours or activities at the site. The intention is to bring the application in line with other David Lloyd clubs around the country. This is a standard licence or areas that we seek to licence across our estate. You will note just for the plans that the main distinction between internal and external areas is that the external areas are limited to alcohol only. We're not seeking any sort of regulated entertainment externally, although we are alive to things like the Live Music Act, etc. It's not our intention to exploit that in any way, but that is, as you'll be aware, a consequence. But as that is a permissive step by Parliament, I don't think it would be grounds to refuse the application outright. If I turn to the representation, therefore, and address that for a few moments. We have made some representations to the licensing authority before this hearing as to whether this would constitute a relevant representation as defined by section 35(5) of the Act, which is a representation about the effects of the application on the licensing objectives. And reading the objection itself, there are references to a new paddle court externally, obviously not part of this application, and a suggestion of ongoing noise disturbances. It's unclear, but we've interpreted that to be from the external use of the premises. We have read the comments that suggesting that there's been frequent and regular contact between the club and the person who authored this letter. But Mr. Welsh, who's been in post since April 24, and has consulted with higher management, confirms that certainly since April 24 there's been no contact between anybody that we can identify from this address and the club. Other suggestions, although not relevant, but I think I'd want to address them just to give comfort to the councillors, if nothing else. Regular and early morning classes externally are not something that we recognise either. The classes, we do not schedule any classes externally, but there have been a number of ad hoc classes on fine weather days where it's too hot inside, etc., or other factors that we have had a couple of classes outside, again not part of the application but just for background, but they never commence before 10 a.m. at the very earliest, and are only a handful of classes a year that take place. The other issues raised in the representation, of course, are things like traffic, potential for antisocial behaviour and the risk of drink driving, etc., which are obviously quite high level issues and not specific in any way. Again, traffic not being an issue, but just to give you a clear answer on that, again for your comfort principally. The access to the club is actually along a long driveway on Greenford Road near Sudbury Hill Station. If you're familiar with it, as you come down the main road, it's a right. And this person's address, as we see it, is approximately just over a mile away from that entrance, about a 5 or 6 minute car journey to it. When you're trying to orientate the objector to the plans, when you look at the external plan which we've provided, which shows the pool, etc. If I say the top of the plan is the north, then to the south of the plan is a boundary fence which comes up against Bedser Drive, and the residences on the other side of that boundary fence and around the bottom of the site. So any sort of traffic that might be associated with the premises, full stop, none of which we think will be increasing as a result of this application, I have to say, will not really sensibly be travelling past their premises. And as I say, I don't think that that's a persuasive argument again to refuse it. Obviously, retailing alcohol in any circumstances must be done responsibly, and to promote the LSC objectives, and things like drink driving and antisocial behaviour are things that every premises must tackle. There is obviously a potential for any of those with any licence that the committee grants, but the understanding of any approval is that the applicant will move forward and promote the LSC objectives each day they trade the premises. The premises has had a licence for an extended period of time, and we're not aware of any history of enforcement action by any of your responsible authorities, including licensing, regarding the site. So I would suggest that would I would describe my client as in good standing with the LSC authority regarding its conduct of these premises. As I say, there is a development of paddle courts which are subject to other proceedings planning, to be particular, but with respect are not matters for this committee. Not that by not calling for the refusal of the application you're dismissing the resident, but you can have comfort that they're being dealt with properly and through other channels and authorities within the council. I'm going to kind of draw to an end and invite your questions to see what you're interested in hearing, but my final point would be should be noted that no responsible authority has sought to amend or object to this application. So people like your environmental health service, police service, etc., whose only interest in these applications is the promotion of the LSC objectives, are satisfied with my client and are not objecting to the application. As you'll be familiar with the guidance issued by under section 182, particularly paragraph 9.12, it talks about how the LSC authority should look to those responsible authorities as a prime source of expert evidence in it when they make evidence to you, to take that on board seriously. My suggestion to you is that that's a double-edged sword, insofar as if they don't object, if they don't raise issues with you, that should be seen as a favourable sign towards the application. So I don't wish to be abrupt or brief, but I equally don't want to just keep babbling on. I am a solicitor. I do love the sound of my own voice, but I am going to stop there and allow you to ask questions. And myself and Mr. Welsh can hopefully address any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Gruner. Councillor Gallant, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mr. Gruner, you have no idea politicians love the sound of their own voices too. I'm sure you know. I have a quick question. And if I may, I just like to know why you're proposing this extension into the areas, and if you're going to be taking alcohol outside, there is a potential for noise. So, what mitigations are being put in place to make sure that doesn't disturb anyone?
Well, to be clear, that permission to take alcohol outside already exists under the license on an on-off sale. So where we do refurbishments and we need to look at the license. Oh, yeah. So, is that okay?
You froze for a second.
Oh,
you're back. Sorry,
I'm back. So off sales are already a part of the license, and therefore alcohol can be taken outside at present. When we carry out refurbishments and upgrades to the site, we do look at the license and try to bring it in line with our standard. What the approach for David Lloyd is that by licensing areas and making them clear, we take any ambiguity out of where enforcement action, etc., is expected. In respect of taking drinks outside, as I say, that's an activity that already can take place. We have policies in place on a health and safety basis, and actually have engaged with other officers of the council about the health and safety aspects of it. But the alcohol outside and across the site is very much ancillary to itself as a club. So we're talking about one or two drinks. People aren't using the premises as a bar, not that that's a derogatory term, or a pub. It is, as one would expect. So obviously control of our people across our site, making it a friendly and relaxed atmosphere is something that David Lloyd and Mr. Welsh and his staff are very keen to take and to maintain. So although that area is coming in, that activity of consuming alcohol could still take place outside. What this application, I suppose, specifically could do is that if somebody wanted to use the terrace for a private event and have an actual temporary bar out there to serve their guests, that could happen. Again, those are extremely rare events. It's not an event space. It's not used by that. There is that facility for members, and I think, talking to Mr. Welsh prior to this call, we're talking about maybe 1 or 2 events a month, normally inside, things of that nature, and always sort of low key and low numbers. I made a joke that it isn't becoming a party venue with large external music and bars. That's certainly not its point. And as I say, if you are minded to grant this application, as you know, the promotion of the licensing objectives continues. Every day we open it, we must be minded to that. And I think David Lloyd have a good track record in that regard.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions, Councillor Gallant?
That's fine for me, Chair. I might come back in, but I'll listen to what Councillor Mahmood you might have to say. Sure.
Thank you. Councillor Mahmood.
Thank you, Chair. The one question I would like to ask Mr. Gunnett and then Mr. Welsh as well. So when you said there's a layout, is formatted the whole David Lloyd all over the country. And so by doing that thing, I am sure you will not be increasing any drinking capacity in terms of number.
The numbers of people at the club will remain. So I think part of this application has arisen about planned improvements to the spa area and things of that nature. And people who go to the spa for pampering and spa activities, as you do, we do have an offer there that you could have a glass of sparkling wine or some such thing in an appropriate container in that area. So part of that sort of investment in the site, we look at the license to make sure that we cover it and use it in standard. So this application isn't intended to drive the capacity of the premise or increase it at all. That's already set by the fire risk assessment. And as I say, this is an offer that we have for our members, that some members do take up, but we're not anticipating any change of the style of operation as it always has been. People use this as a health club and maybe have a drink after a workout, etc., or meeting friends. But if they're looking for a effervescent night out with their friends. This is not normally the place that they refer to, and that's not the money that we're chasing, as it were. It's providing that service to it. So I think the application here for the plan is really triggered by the intended refurbishments and investment in the spa area, which is scheduled to come up later this year, beginning of next year, I think.
Right. Now, and I thank you very much. And I completely understand when you said the entrance, because can I tell you, I know that premises very well. I know the surrounding area very well. So it's not new for me for many years. So what I agree with you, yes, the objectors and the people are living behind the David Lloyd. So the traffic, yes, they will not be affected by traffic because the whole traffic will go from the main entrance from Greenford Road. I'm agree on that. But can you, Mr. Welch, could you just what I can see here by looking and by reading objector's letter, there's a lack of communication. There's a lack of engagement between David Lloyd management and the surroundings area, especially this risk, the sports state at the behind the David Lloyd. So what I'm just thinking about that, as she mentioned in her email, she was trying to contact and clarify some vital point in terms of noise and nuisance, but she was not being replied. So I just wanted to know your engagement with the local community.
Yeah, so as part of her objection, she mentions numerous phone calls and that she's been into the club to try and meet with somebody. I've been here since April last year and have had no interaction with anybody trying to arrange a meeting. I've had no phone calls. In preparation for this meeting, I reached out to my senior leadership team, who would, in my absence, normally pick up those sort of complaints and queries, and they've all said the same. They've had no interactions with anyone from the local residents area or anything like that, trying to arrange any meetings for such complaints.
All right, but Chair, with your permission, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's the point. You need to go back and look in the future how you could engage with the residents. It will be more appropriate whenever you are doing that sort of things, or licensing objective or planning objective. So if you could exercise to engage residents in surrounding area, that would be helpful for local authorities as well, and for organization like you as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mahmood. Any further questions from my colleagues? No, okay. I've got a couple of questions. So you mentioned that none of the classes start before 10 a.m. Can you talk to us about the general timings of classes, please?
That was regarding external. We've never had any sort of event externally before 10 o'clock. Okay. Just to clarify, but thank you, Councillor. Obviously, that did need clarifying. So, in respect of noise from external areas, not before 10 o'clock, but I'll let Mr. Wells kind of give you the kind of general class times and operation for the venue.
Yeah, so internally, we can have classes start 6:30 in the morning midweek. But like I say, they're sort of internal within the building. Those classes that are usually taking place at that time of day as well, probably from where the resident is living, probably the furthest point away from the building as well. And they run up to roughly, I'd say, 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening.
Thank you. Is there any risk of sort of bass or percussion or music emanating from the building and reaching any residential area? Are you aware of any such risk?
I, on a personal opinion, wouldn't say so. They're within the building. There's some distance between the building and the local residents. I mean, you've got an outdoor pool, a car park, and I believe a road behind that. I believe there's quite a distance. So I'd be very surprised if it did travel. We have to operate our sort of sound systems on a health and safety note at below a certain point as well. So if those noises were being heard where the residents are, I would be more concerned around, well, I'd be expecting complaints from members in those classes, if I'm honest, rather than the local residents.
Okay. Do you play music by the outdoor pool or any other outdoor area?
We have a music system by the outdoor pool, but it's a very low sort of background environmental music sort of thing. Yeah, nothing. As sort of Chris said, we don't run any party events or anything out there. It's more of a background music.
Okay, you've just answered my follow-up question about parties in the outdoor area. Okay, fine. So just regarding the private events then, I think Mr. Grunnett, you mentioned that there were 2 a month. What is a typical event, and how many people might attend that event? And what's the sort of demographic? Is it a family type event, or is it catered to, older people? Can you elaborate, please?
Yeah, so we have 2 regular scheduled events per month. One is a quiz night, which involves no music whatsoever. And then the other, we have a salsa night, which is again an internal event which takes place in the club room. Quiz night, you can attract 30 people, but quiz night is very quiet. Salsa night, we've not had any more than sort of 15 people. So again, not a large event at all. Okay,
do you have any sort of standalone type events where a member could hire a space within the club to?
Fantastic. No, we don't do anything like that.
Okay, that answers. Okay, and I've noticed in the application that you'd like to extend the license to the kids area. Can you talk to us more on that and why?
Do you want to pick that one up, Joe? Are you all right to pick that one up?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah. So we do have a separate internal kids area, which you can see on the drawings. No alcohol will be served in there, but I believe we're looking to extend it in there. We do hold kids parties in there. So it's more for a case, I believe, that parents can obviously receive a drink from the club room and take it in there and consume it in there. We have no plans to put a bar in there or anything like that to serve alcohol.
Okay. Fine. Okay, I think that answers all of the questions. Great. Okay, I'll just check with my colleagues if you have any further questions on the back of anything discussed since. No? Okay, great.
No, Chair, none from me. No, thanks.
Okay, fantastic. I guess that concludes the hearing. You do have the opportunity to make sum up comments, Mr. Grunnett. So yeah, over to you.
Just very picking up on what Councillor Mahmood said there about community engagement. Absolutely, that is how David Lloyd do like to proceed, and we'll take those comments on board. And it's not often that we say that we can't reconcile any comment from the objective with our experience, but it is the case here. And also, as I point out, no environmental health. Clearly they haven't been receiving complaints, or again, we would have expected those to appear here. With respect to the representation, we do want to engage with our community, and we do want all our people around our premises to be content and not find us to be difficult. But I don't believe that their comments are particularly relevant to the purpose of this application, which is the test for you today at section 35. Obviously, that is a decision ultimately for you, and I will tell you that's your decision. I appreciate it's yours, but I need to suggest it perhaps isn't. And other than that, if you do grant this license, it is on that undertaking that the licensing objectives will be promoted every day going forward, and you are not giving us any permission to cause a nuisance. That is not what we're asking for today. Thank you very much for all your attention and interesting questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grunnett. Okay, the subcommittee will now retire to make its decision. I expect that we'll be back by 3.
Okay. And Mr. Welsh, Mr. Welsh just have a couple of maybe engagements, so he may not be back, but I just explain that to committee. Yeah, I'm paid, so I definitely will be back. But Mr. Welsh might go all about his business, but it's not intended to be any sort of disrespect to the committee if that happens. Thank you.
Okay, no problem at all. Okay, so we'll see everyone back here at 3.